is the former governor, energy secretary as well, Rick Perry. Governor Perry, thanks for being with us here on the Hill tonight. Appreciate it.
Good. Thank you.
You got it. So Vice President Harris in Houston, President Trump in Austin tonight. Do you look? I'm sure you want the top two in your state as much as possible, but do you think it's a good use of their time right now, being in Texas? It's not one of the 7 key swing states. Do you think they should be there? You've run for president before, or do you think they should be in the 7 that at the end of the day are gonna make this race tilt one way or another?
Yeah, well, President Trump being in the state of Texas is a good thing, and it's a good thing because he's talking about immigration. He's talking about the crimes that have been committed by these illegals that have come in. He brought up a family, met with a family today from Bastrop, Texas, the Davis family. Their son last week was killed by an illegal that had been deported 2 times, had 2 DUIs. I think blew over a .3. I mean, this guy was absolutely drunk out of his mind, ran into and killed an innocent Texan, Grayson Davis, a fine, sweet 29-year-old young man who had his life in front of him. And so President Trump being here with those families and showcasing that Colin Allred and Kamala Harris are for opening that border up and letting these individuals in unvetted. That's why Donald Trump being in the state of Texas is a powerful message today. And, you know, we're just touching on the illegal immigration issue. When you start talking about energy policy and the things that Donald Trump did for this country from the standpoint of making us energy independent, then you understand. I think this is a good place for Donald Trump. Now, Kamala Harris, probably wasting her time in the great state of Texas.
Let me ask you about immigration. You were governor there. You know that you took action after action to try to get control of the southern border. Here's what you said a decade ago, Governor. You said, "I will not stand by idly while our citizens are under assault and little children from Central America are detained in squalor. We are too good of a country for that." I have to imagine you would want every resource imaginable for the state of Texas. Donald Trump, as you know, though, was a big reason why this bipartisan Senate bill did not come to fruition. Here was what Trump said earlier this year. I'll get your reaction on the other side.
Despite the worst border crisis in U.S. history, crooked Joe Biden just tried to ram through a massive open borders bill that would allow nearly 2 million illegals per year. I think we killed it. I think it's dead.
Was he wrong to kill that bill?
And I totally agree with him, because that piece of legislation, number one, it was way too late in the process to be pushing that forward. What President Trump did,
you'd want the help, though, I would think, right?
He stopped that. He stopped the border crossings as well as any president in history. When you look at the bookends of Obama and Biden on each end of Donald Trump, that's the reason Donald Trump's going to win, because people know that he is going to make real efforts and really stop this illegal crossing. He's going to round up these individuals. We're going to make sure that they get deported, and if they don't, we catch them and we put them in incarcerate them. And the other side of it is he clearly sends the message to Mexico that we're going to work with you, but we're going to stop this nonsense that we're seeing on the border now and stop these illegals coming into this country who we don't have any idea who they are. We see the criminality that comes out of it, this Agua or Tren de Agua group that's in here from Venezuela.
Right.
I mean, it is out of control, and Donald Trump will put it back in control.
So you ran against Trump, obviously, once for president. You had talked about maybe considering doing it again. You joked earlier this year, Governor, that rhino, the term rhino, Republican in name only, is sexy. At an event that you had earlier this year. Donald Trump has gone after, quote unquote, rhinos. And I was looking back, for example, at your policies. When you ran for president, you campaigned on lowering the corporate tax rate to 20%. Donald Trump basically did that. No tax on Social Security. You were talking about that a decade ago, but you've also mentioned things like balancing the budget. That's a joke in the current landscape right now. He said he would kill, you talked about ending Obamacare, reforming entitlements. Trump hasn't done any of that. Has he let you down in some ways, Governor?
Not at all. Listen, I can't wait for Donald Trump to be back at the White House, because we know his policies. And more importantly, we know the individuals that he will bring with him to put into all of these places of government.
Thank you for watching, and make sure you go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.